little somewhere different today. I am not in my workshop, but I am sitting outside the learning center of the Salvation Army near me. I am not making over a piece of furniture today, but I will be transforming some tired, dated melamine, I believe it's melamine, I don't know, I haven't gone in and taken a look, kitchen countertop, and turning it into something a little more modern, giving it a new look, a new lease on life. My husband and I are friends with the pastors here at the Salvation Army Learning Center. They asked me if I would take a look at their kitchen counters and see if there's something I could do about it, and I was like, sure, absolutely, sign me up, I'm in. That's today's video, and I'm going to share the whole journey with you guys about how to transform dated countertops into something a little more modern and not tired looking. All right, let's get into it.
Oh, you guys, I forgot my spare battery for my camera. It's flashing red at me, so it's gonna go out any second, so I'm gonna have to film on my phone. But anyway, the Salvation Army, for all the volunteer work that they do in the helping of other people have been... Okay, my camera went. So for all the volunteer work that the Salvation Army do for other people and the helping of other people, some volunteer groups and other church groups have asked the Salvation Army if they can come in. If there's anything they can do to help out, to clean up, renovate, you know, there's builders and that type of thing that are offering their time. And so the place is in a little bit of disarray. There's usually not a toilet right there. There's renovations happening in different parts, but I'm here alone today so I can get started on these countertops. I'm first going to give everything, like furniture, a really good clean and a rinse. And then once I've done that, I'm going to scuff it up, and with my orbital sander, I'm just going to go over everything, and then I'm going to put my blocking primer on. So today I'm going to be using Valspar's stain blocking primer and sealer. It's got extreme adhesion. That's what we want, and it dries in 30 minutes. So I'm going to put one coat on everything, and then I'm probably going to do a second coat. Once that's dry, I'm gonna come in tomorrow and I'm gonna put first coat of the enamel. I tell you, you're gonna be able to laugh at yourself, that's for sure. Day one, done and dusted. Prep is just
so important. I only got one coat of the primer on. I think we're gonna be okay with one coat. I'm gonna let it dry. It says it dries in 30 minutes, but recoat in 2 hours, and I've gotta go home. We'll be back tomorrow, test the first coat. All right, I'll catch you guys tomorrow. Bye.
Right, so much has happened since I last filmed it for you guys. So you saw me prime it. I ended up doing 2 coats of primer to get a really good base on there. Not only that, it helped me not have to use so much of the cabinet paint. So I ended up using practically the whole pot. I think I had like that much left for all of these countertops, which I felt like was really good for a white. I ended up doing, you saw me do first coat. I came back in the next day, lightly sanded, and did a second coat, and I repeated that process one more day. So I ended up doing 3 full coats on this, and my last coat was with a brush. I didn't show you that because it's just white on white. And it'll be like, you guys will be like, what am I even looking at? I can't see anything. Well, I just painted it with a brush. Today is, I think, my final day. I think I can get all of this done all in one go. We're going to be putting, now I realize this is a little unconventional, but you know me, I'm a little unconventional. I'm going to give this a go. Hopefully I don't drop it. That would be sad. It's Minwax polyurethane for floors, okay? It is VOC compliant. I will be wearing a mask just in case, but it is soap and water cleanup. I'm really loving that they're, even though it's a polyurethane, it's water and soap cleanup. And Valspar, that cabinet paint, even though it was oil enriched, it was soap and water cleanup. I don't know how they worked that voodoo and that magic, but they did, because normally any polyurethane or any oil, you know, you need to clean it up with a chemical, but it cleans up with soap and water. I'm not a scientist. I don't need to know. I just trust whatever the instructions tell me to do. So anyway, we're gonna go in with that. The instructions on this say to use an applicator pad. I went into Harbor Freight just now and I got this paint and stain pad. It is a, you know, foam pad. I think it'll work. I'm gonna give it a go over on the corner where nobody will see if I have to go back over it. The recommendation on the can says to use a foam, what do they call it? How do they word it? Hang on. Synthetic pad applicator. I feel like that's what this is. It's a pad applicator and it's for stain and paint. I realize polyurethane is neither of those things, but I'm gonna give it a go, and if it fails miserably in that corner, I brought my backup that I can use, and if that doesn't work, good old trusty foam roller. Okay, so I've lightly sanded these again. It's it's really fine grit, so it's probably 400 up grit. It doesn't have it just says fine. So wiped all of that dust back and we're ready to go. No way on God's green earth I'm going to get behind. You see all the dead... There's a spider up there. And she's like feasted on all these flies. It's so gross. Okay, applicator pad to do back because there's no way I'm going to get behind that with that big old thing. The self-leveling properties on this are, I mean, you would imagine so since it's for a floor. The key here that I'm discovering is really thin coats, and that's what is recommended in this. I mean, and it doesn't even have that bad of a smell, so it should, if it's VOC compliant, then it shouldn't be too bad, but you know, I don't want to get lectured. So not wearing my proper safety gear. I should probably not fiddle with it. Okay, moving on. Okay. Cool. See how I stopped before and it says to leave a wet edge, meaning don't let it dry for too long before you know, re-dip your applicator and come back to it. Otherwise, it will look streaky. And don't let your applicator be too dry. There's a happy medium. It can't be soaking wet and it can't be too dry. that did not take very long at all. The longest thing now is letting it dry. I've got to let it dry for 2 hours, so I'm going to do that. I'm going to go do grocery shopping, go home, unpack it, come back and put on a second coat. There is a trick, right? It says let it dry at least 2 hours, but no more than 8 hours. If you let it dry more than 8 hours, you have to sand it back with a 220, not sand it back, lightly sand with a 220 grit sandpaper, and then you can put on a second coat, right? That's the recommendation for floors, and it's a countertop. Some of my thinking behind doing a polyurethane for a countertop that is meant for floors is wear and tear, right? This is going to turn into like a coffee bar where people can come and meet, and it's like I said, it's the learning center for the kids. So of an afternoon, the kids and their leaders are going to be in here doing snacks and all that sort of thing. So these counters need to put up with some wear and tear. So I felt like polyurethane that's meant for floors would be great for countertops. I have also watched a number of videos. I won't touch epoxy and resin to save myself. I realize that's a popular thing to do. However, there are pros and cons to everything, and I felt like the cons of using epoxy or resin outweighed the positives. So no. Personal opinion, no. Polyurethane, I'm really happy with this. Gonna let it dry, gonna go get groceries, and I'll see you in a second for that. Okay. Of course, grocery shopping took longer than I thought it would. And then I had to unpack all my groceries, have lunch, do some editing, and now I'm back. I am happy with it, but I'm not going to stop at 2 coats. I'm probably going to end up doing 3 or 4 coats. So what I'm going to do now is do a second coat, let it dry overnight, come back tomorrow, do a 3rd coat, then I'll come back and see what it looks like after that. Maybe I do a 4th coat. And yeah, we'll see, we'll assess it after that. But I mean, I am happy with it as a top coat. It is feeling very like solid, so this is a good choice. All right.
Okay, so the befores on this were pretty standard Lowe's countertops, and then the afters on it are really cool. I am so happy with the end result on this one. It's glossy, it is not perfect, I have to say, and the perfectionist in me would love it to be so, but I'm human. But as far as, you know, saving the countertop and not having to replace it all, this is a great option, you guys. Loved it, and the most important thing to me is if Tom and Rachel love it, and they do, so I'm so relieved. And like I said, this area is going to get turned into like a cafe type thing where people visiting the learning center for, you know, needs and that type of thing, and the kids in the afternoon, these countertops are going to put up with a lot of wear and tear. So I'm super happy with it. Comment below, let me know what you guys think. Next week's piece, here's a little teaser for it. And I hope I see you guys on that piece. Bye guys.